got three today. I've got a beer, a water, and a coffee. I'm ready to go. All right. Hello, and welcome to Pot of the Dead. I am your host, Nicholas, and with me, as always, are the two beautiful ladies, Stephanie and Natasha.
Hello.
Hello.
On today's episode, we will be going over the 1984 movie Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante and written by Chris Columbus. What are your girls' history with this film prior to watching it?
I watched it when I was younger and honestly couldn't remember much from it. So it was a nice revisit.
That's basically my entire thing, too. So I don't think I've seen this movie since I was probably under the age of 10. And so other than like the lore that you see around with like our characters, I didn't remember a damn thing about this movie. So it was interesting to rewatch it. So, and it's from it's older than all of us. So that was kind of cool. We don't get to watch a lot of movies that are older than us. So that was interesting to see.
Oh, we can change that. We can watch a lot more of
No,
those.
I didn't say that.
I'm good.
I didn't say that. Those motherfuckers are slow.
Please don't. Yeah.
My history with this is I've seen both of the Gremlins films a decent amount of times. They re-released this in theaters maybe for like its 30th anniversary, and I took the kids to go see it. So I got to actually experience this one in the theaters. So that was pretty dope. And that when I saw that, it had like an interview with Joe Dante, the director of this. So this movie I've got a lot of history with. But the number one thing though that stands out about this movie when we watched it, because I think that was the last time I watched it. So it's been a handful of years. The number one thing that stood out though, watching it this time and stuff, was like how much Steven Spielberg is like on this, because he's one of the producers for it, and it just has like this feel, like this like glitzy kind of feel to it. I later found out that the town that this is set in, it's built like on a set like for Warner Brothers. It's the exact same town and set that they used for Back to the Future, which came out a year later.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then like Chris Columbus, the writer of this, he in a weird way, like this movie came out in the summer of '84. I think it was like June or July. Yeah,
that's a weird timing considering it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, June 8th, 1984. So what's kind of cool though is the writer Chris Columbus. He went on to direct and I believe write. No, he just directed them. He directed Home Alone and Home Alone 2.
Okay. You can kind of feel that with the way the Christmas stuff is.
So he's got this very Christmas centric feel to himself. And then he later went on to direct the first two Harry Potter movies. Okay. Which definitely have a Christmassy kind of feel in that first one. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. So Chris Columbus definitely got them Christmas vibes going on. But
I like it.
So what do you girls think the budget for this film was in 1984? Granted, it would have been made in like 83 or so, but
it's a Warner Brothers film, so
correct.
We have to take that into consideration.
It is a Warner Brothers film produced by Steven
Spielberg. Yeah.
It's gonna be a big budget.
Like in this movie, was not just trend setting, but like think of like Jurassic Park when it came out, how like people had never seen this kind of stuff. They try to do that a little bit with this film too. Like they pushed the envelope of special effects and animatronics and stuff in this film.
I think that succeeds in this, especially for the era. But the plot could have been worked on heavily. What do I think the budget is? I'm going to go with 25 million.
Yeah.
I was thinking 30.
30?
Okay.
That's my first gut instinct.
All right. Well, produced by Steven Spielberg does not necessarily mean directed by Steven Spielberg. So this actually budgeted for $11 million.
Oh, wow. That's way less than I thought. Okay.
So how much?
But even with all of the like gremlin work,
yeah,
you would think that would be
insane,
astronomical.
True.
But
wow.
So I've got a couple different box offices because there's its initial box office, but then it has been re-released multiple times. So it came out in the summer of 84. It then got re-released in the theaters February of 85. And then it came out.
Still not at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it came out. It came out in 2019 again, and that's when I ended up seeing it again.
Okay.
But we'll go with the initial release. So back in June of 84. How much do you think it made on its initial release? And then I'll give you what its total release is.
Are we accounting for inflation, or is this just the money that it earned?
Just as is.
Okay. So it was 11 million to make. I'm gonna say they made 75 million.
How much they made, or how much? Okay, so I think it grossed or like brought in. I'm gonna say 90 million.
It grossed 153 million dollars.
Holy shit! Well, and that's weird because it came out in June. This movie should have been released in October because it's got a horror feel and a Christmas feel, and it would have been perfect for releasing in October.
So it grossed 153 million dollars on its initial release. It's then went on to make. It came back out in February, made another $60 million.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
It has its total gross over the 3 times that it's been released in theaters is $212.9 million.
Wow.
Dang.
So something that blows my fucking mind though is the same weekend that Gremlins came out, it actually ranked second for its opening weekend because a little film called Ghostbusters came out the exact same weekend.
Oh, that is a terrible time to compete. Oh my gosh. And that's another movie, like, okay, midsummer release. I guess Ghostbusters is like kind of like great for the summer. Maybe that was a big time, like all the kids were out for the summer, so like all the parents wanted to take their kids to the movies. Yeah. And so they're releasing kid movies in the summer to like build up the box office in comparison to like today. Yeah. Maybe that's why. I don't know, but that's oh wow.
But 1984 is like a stupid year though for like super iconic films. So you've got the original Gremlins comes out with Ghostbusters. You also have Beverly Hills Cop and and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh man.
Jeez,
so
all that summer or that
all that
year?
year.
Wow. That's a big year.
Because Gremlins was the 4th highest grossing film of the year. It went Beverly Hills Cop, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, and then Gremlins.
Beverly Hills Cop won? No, me either.
Well, that's the thing. Beverly Hills Cop is just like, for its time, Eddie Murphy was on fire. Like everybody loved Eddie Murphy. So
everybody still pretty much loves Eddie Murphy. So,
but that doesn't even begin to talk about like how much money this movie has made. I don't have the numbers of like its merchandising juggernaut that it did. But then,
the LP.
Yep. But then even Warner Home Video released Gremlins on VHS, Laserdisc, Beta, all this stuff in 1985. And just in video rentals alone, it made $80 million.
Oh my God.
So this, as far as I can remember, compared to everything that we've done on this podcast, this is the fucking like moneymaker movie that we've covered. And because
I think Scream was a really high money maker movie, but in comparison to age time, no, because like that's the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, no, and The Exorcist made a lot of money too.
Yeah, I forgot about that. We'd like to forget about that sometimes.
Absolutely.
But I definitely think IP wise, like with T-shirts and posters and Gizmo plushies. Well, it's still out there.
Yeah, we were talking the other day. Nick made this point. He was like, I'm a big fan of The Mandalorian and Grogu, and he was like, well, technically, like Gizmo was the original, the OG Grogu, like because they kind of look like each other. And I was like, but is it that Gizmo is actually Yoda, like? Because the ears and like all of that, and then it's just kind of people are pulling from other stuff. And I'm like, and he was making a point that what was it about Indiana Jones and Star Wars and whatever you were saying.
You've got Joe Dante directed this, produced by Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas made Indiana Jones together. And then George Lucas is the guy who created Star Wars. So there's this weird like Russian doll, like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon thing where there's definitely influence like when there's like the art direction and stuff like that. And then even to the point where like you're just pulling off of each other's influences and stuff. It's like almost like Yoda came out, and then they're like, well, we need an idea for Gizmo and the Gremlins, because they all have those kind of bat ear looking things. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like they went, well, let's take Yoda and then kawaii him up a bit. Let's take that Japanese cuteness and just make like the bigger ears and the cuter, bigger eyes and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, but then let's also make like the most evil fucking version of Yoda that we can think of. And that's how you got the Gremlins themselves. It's kind of how I look at it.
That's kind of how I look at it too. And then you transfer all of that into the cutest of cute of all of them, and that would be Grogu.
That would be Nicolas Cage, yeah. Definitely.
Yes, Nicolas Cage. You won.
But let's see here. Before we get too far into the weeds on this film and stuff, this is a movie club, and in that, the last like 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes of the episode, we will tell you what we are going to watch this coming week for next week's episode, which that episode is going to be very on brand for the Christmas season, because we're ramping up. We're right now second week in December. Next week's going to be a snowy film. The week after that's Christmas time, and we're going to have another Christmassy kind of thing. So, trying to, keep it in the season a little bit, and then that'll be the end of our first season of Pot of the Dead. Yep. So definitely stick around for the end of the episode. If you've not seen Gremlins, go ahead and watch it. I believe we had to watch it on AMC Plus or something. We had to get AMC Plus because it wasn't on anything else unless we wanted to rent it. Yeah, so, it was cheaper. Right. It was cheaper to get that than to just do a standard rental.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I did a standard rental.
But so I'm gonna throw up that there spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen this film, where the fuck have you been? Because this used to get played on like TNT and shit like all the time. But if you don't care, if it's something that you just don't give a shit about, but you want to listen to us bicker and whatever about the film, stick around. But you have been warned.
Yes.
All right. So, Tasha, before we go into spoiler territory, do you want to give us the little overview?
Gremlins is a 1984 American comedy horror film directed by Joe Dante, written by Chris Columbus, and starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Hoyt Axton, Polly Holiday, which has the greatest name.
Yes, she does.
And Frances Lee McCain. It draws on legends of folkloric mischievous creatures that cause malfunctions, quote, gremlins, in the British Royal Air Force going back to World War II. The story follows a young man who receives a strange creature as a pet, which then spawns other creatures who transform into small, destructive, mischievous monsters that all wreak havoc on the whole town on Christmas Eve.
All right.
That covers it pretty well.
Yep. So if that sounds interesting, go check it out.
So if you want to be a part of our club, you can find us at facebook.com/pod of the dead, or else on Instagram at pod_of_the_dead, or on TikTok at pod of the dead. If you want to email us any questions, any complaints, or movie recommendations, you can email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com.
Let's get those beautiful, beautiful reviews.
I'm going to go first just because this is the shortest of short reviews I think we've ever done.
Yeah. When I looked up, like, this movie is very loved. So to find a 1 out of 10 review, there were only like 3 of them.
Yeah, that's weird. So, okay, maybe it's just so old that nobody wants to review it anymore. I don't know. Anyway, and the only
it's that good.
Well, to give it a 1 though. Like,
oh yeah, not a 1. That's true. I think that 1 is pretty damn harsh.
At the very end of the day, like, this movie is like neat. Like, just the animatronics and stuff alone.
Right.
You just have to go into this movie wanting to be entertained in a way that you don't want to pay attention to the actual rules, because the rules do not apply in this movie, and they are very loose leaf, and kind of that in itself is kind of frustrating for me as a person who pays attention to that. But yeah, it's definitely
fine.
Yeah, see, Tasha's like, I don't care. I just love this movie.
What rules?
Yeah.
So
I mean, the
Yeah.
movie rules, but what rules?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, 1 out of 10. I saw this when I was little, and it made me angry then, because you can't feed them after midnight. It's always after midnight, so you can never feed them. I thought the same thing.
I always think that when people say you can't wear white after Labor Day, like it's always after Labor Day technically.
Yeah. Now I'm watching it years later, and if they get wet, they multiply. These things are running in snow, drinking beer, and then I got to thinking their own saliva, tear ducts, blood, etc., all would get them wet. What was everyone on when they made this? All of that's really true, though. Like,
It was the
this
80s.
was all
They
of
were
my
all-
arguments too.
It was the 80s. They were all on cocaine. Next question.
There's a difference.
Apparently.
There's a difference between getting wet and drinking beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, ingesting versus getting wet on the outside. But the snow, come on, guys.
Yeah, the snow definitely.
It's snow. It's not water.
Oh, that's-
Yeah, yep. Okay, we'll go with that. If it's frozen water, it's
Well,
acceptable.
Exactly. It doesn't count.
well,
Yeah.
So here you go, Tasha. So
It's gonna be great.
the part where Stripe is standing in the fucking fountain
Okay,
and the
that
water
part
is
bothered me.
splashing on him,
Yeah.
and he's just like,
to like touch it.
it, yeah.
That was the one part that I had a hard time.
What
I had a hard time
the
with.
fuck?
Well,
The
my,
single part.
yeah, my whole thing is they're running through the snow, and I'm like, it's water! It's water! Why aren't there millions of them? Now, the ingesting thing I get, because that's different than touching. But
Well,
Yeah.
well, if it's 100% humidity, do they then just fucking start? Because I mean, that's technically water vapor.
thank God. Okay.
Oh god, Gremlins in Florida, like that's a whole new movie that they could do.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Oh man, yeah. Okay. So what was everyone on when they made this? Every character is an idiot. No, they're not. Mom is a fucking badass, guys.
Mom is
Come
John
on.
Rambo.
Mom is amazing. Okay. The big stocking hanging in front of the fireplace? Question mark. Fire hazard. What?
It's Christmas. It's all fire hazard.
It's the
Yeah.
80s. Everything was a fire
Right.
hazard, and our parents didn't
exactly.
care.
It has a toy robot in the stocking. I assume is for their adult son. Okay.
We still
We're
have.
adults and we have nerdy shit too.
Yeah,
Right.
good lord, fucking
Yeah.
fucking
I know.
Scrooge over here.
There is a laundry list of issues with it, but that would take so much time. So I'm going to stop now. So he just basically said, giving this movie the middle finger, and I'm not going to tell you all the other problems because I already displayed some. And he's right. Like, this is true. That all of those things are problems in this movie, but
I
you
can't,
just have to go in with it, going, it's okay.
like, I'm not here trying to say this movie's a 10 out of 10 or anything like that. But could you imagine meeting somebody that gives Gremlins a 1 out of 10? Like, you can't.
I don't want to be around that
You
person.
I know.
you can't find a single thing in this that you thought was kind of cool. Like a single thing.
Right.
All right, whatever.
I mean, just the animatronics and like the puppet. I don't know if there's any puppets or if it's just
Oh,
all
yeah, there's a lot of
animatronics. Is it? Yeah, that in itself is incredible. Like, come on, the bar scene.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
legitimately. And then the scene in the candy store. I mean, those two in themselves are just.
Yeah.
You have to give this a higher rating just because of those parts. So, anyhow, okay, Tasha.
Here we go.
10 out of 10.
5 paragraphs.
Oh shit.
Strap in.
Okay.
10 out of 10. That's the essential message of this classic, masterful fantasy horror comedy written by Christopher Columbus. I'm not going to read the rest of it because I already told you about that. Who all does it? Susan Arnold has assembled an exquisite cast with equally perfect supporting roles. Whether endearing or repulsive, the characters imagined by Chris Columbus and Joe Dante are embodied to perfection by this dream cast and memorable anyway. It just doesn't make sense. Like, that sentence is just confusing to me. Okay. Good puppetry is an art. And the crew includes Chris Wells, creator, master, who brought the Mogwais and Gremlins to life with 1980 special effects still reigning supreme 4 decades later. So much that Joe Dante has always rightly refused any second sequel that does not respect this art and this legacy. Finally, Jared Goldsmith also composed one of the best and most iconic soundtracks, which perfectly highlights all of the human and technical achievements mentioned before to complete this critically acclaimed masterpiece that also was a huge box office success before becoming a cult comedy horror classic that goes down in history.
I agree with a lot of what they said, except for like expertly casted. Because
I was gonna say the casting was not
like they're like. I understand that Phoebe Cates was like hot to trot in the 80s and everything, but she definitely, like you mentioned, you want to talk about favorite and least favorite characters. She's my least favorite character in this movie.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too. She's pointless. There's no reason for her to be there.
No.
She's just the cute girl that the guy needs to have next to him.
With the super depressing story that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. It's a real downer. It really takes you out of it.
She's got 2 times that she talks about it in the movie. Like the first one is like, I don't like Christmas. You know, you don't think about like some people are opening presents. Others are opening their wrists. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Settle down.
Yeah. And I don't understand her draw to this. Like in the movie, it's like, okay, so he's like this very positive, like happy-go-lucky, like young adult. And I had a hard time understanding his age in this movie because it was like, he's a bank teller and he's supposedly supporting his family, but then his dad drops $200 on this little guy. And so I'm like, what's going on here? I had a really hard time with the main male character. I don't even remember his name. Billy. Okay. Well, yeah. Then they even give him a young name. So he was just kind of like this meh character to me. Like he's the show of this whole movie. And this was my argument with it, was that it should be about the Gremlins and it should be only about our cute little guy Gizmo. It should, the backstory of everybody else and their partake in all of this, unless they're like the neighbors with the stuff that happens to them.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, like all of that stuff is funny and it adds to the comic part of it, but I don't give a shit about any of the other stuff.
There's so much what feels like filler in the movie because like we really spend a lot of time on the fact that the dad is an inventor. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It would make sense if like his invention at the end of the movie was the thing that fucking dealt with him. That would make sense. But like we just keep showing him at this like invention or inventors conference and stuff like that, and it doesn't.
It could have been a business meeting and he could have just been a normal guy and it would have made any difference. Like none of his stuff other than adding to the ridiculousness of it. Cause like you get introduced to him in the very beginning of the movie and he's like in Chinatown and he's like, has money and he's going to go buy what are they called? Mogwai. Yeah.
So he was originally there to like sell his trinket though.
Yeah. But he could have been there just touring on a business trip or something and it wouldn't have made any difference.
And
but it's the 80s, so they have to have the inventor dad.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Professor and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah. That's true.
In Cantonese though, Mogwai means devil, demon, or gremlin. Like it legitimately means.
Okay.
So
it means what it means. Yep. Okay. That's cool.
And
I like that.
To kind of like, I didn't notice this until researching it and stuff, but I want to say his name's Earl or Eddie. I can't remember. The Mogwai that gets taken to or gets left at the science professor's place. He's the only one that is like Gizmo in the sense where he's more docile and chill. And until he eats, then he turns. And there was a novelization of this movie that actually fills out a lot more of that stuff. And it basically says that like most Mogwai, like straight out the rip, are like evil, mischievous things. And the minority of them are like Gizmo.
Okay.
Where they just decide to like be like cute, cuddly little guys. And the other one, I can't remember the name exactly. I think it's Earl or something like that.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. He was going to be another Gizmo, but he ended up.
He ate after midnight.
He ate after fucking midnight. Goddamn. Yum. But yeah, the only reason, going back to the main character, Zach Galligan's character, Billy. The only reason I remember Billy's name is because Stripes says it like later on in the movie. He's just like, Billy. And I'm just like, yeah, get him.
I would have been happy if this movie ended where all the humans died and then the gremlins and Gizmo lived. Like, I really don't care about the humans in this movie at all.
Initially, Joe Dante and Christopher Columbus, how they had this movie written, it was going to be rated R. It was going to be hell of a lot more violent and stuff like that. It wasn't until Steven Spielberg was like, hey guys, why don't we chill this shit out? But it's just like, they just wanted people getting like fucking like murked nonstop and everything.
Well, they kind of do, sort of.
Like, I can see, like, Steph was saying that this movie scared her when she was a kid and she couldn't remember why. And it's like, you know, like when the one's in the tree and comes out the kitchen scene in general, like motherfuckers getting thrown in blenders. Like, that would be amazing. Like, I would love to see, it's never going to happen, but I would love to see a cut of this film that's just like rated R.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, like I said, I went in this movie and I was like, I don't remember any of this other than just the little cutesy guy. You know, we only see him, and like he has a great characterization in this movie. Like all of his like facial expressions and the like little noises he makes him very endearing. Yeah. And I really liked him because of that. The other thing, the one thing that actually made me really angry in this movie, which is strange. So he obviously accidentally knocks over a water thing, and that's how we get ourselves more gremlins, right? Or more mogwai or whatever. And because he gets wet. And so all these little things pop out of his back. This is how we realize that he's going to then multiply. And my argument is then they take one of these guys and they take him to the science teacher that's at the high school. And they intentionally like put water on this guy and intentionally do things to like hurt him. And like, to me, I understand that there's like, you have to do testing and you got to do that. That really bothered me because it was just kind of like, who cares? We're just going to put water on him and we're going to show you, you know, that. And I was like, you can see when Gizmo gets water on him, how painful it is to him. And I'm like, and now you're intentionally doing that to him again. Like, that made me feel like you're a complete dick.
Along those same lines, I felt really bad for Gizmo because no one was tending to him when he was bubbling.
Yeah, they were
all just looking at the little, they were just looking at the little balls as he's over there like riling in pain.
Yeah, like you're kind of an asshole. Like, this is not cool. And the next time they did it, they only did one drop on him, but still, like, you saw how much he was writhing in pain. I'm like, that makes you a dick. Like, I hope you die. Yeah. Like, that's kind of how I felt.
Well, like initially, the science teacher's death was supposed to be like 20 syringes in his face.
Oh, jeez.
And I guess they actually shot it and stuff. And that's the point where Spielberg's like, guys, you need to tone this down a bit. So that's how they ended up with just one in the ass.
Which is comedic gold.
I just love the idea of like Steven Spielberg coming on and just being like, hey guys, how's it going? And there's just like blood and guts everywhere. And he's like, guys, we want to make money.
Yeah. I would have watched that movie though. That would have been probably better. Yeah, and then like I really liked it. Like I said, this movie was way better than I thought it was going to be. If you can ignore all of the faults in the plotting, like we're supposed to follow these rules, but the rules only kind of apply. Yeah. So yeah.
I liked how fast it got into it. Like we get I keep wanting to say Mowgli. I did that earlier. We keep getting Gizmo. We get Gizmo, and then like once he gets wet, it kind of like takes off. I was really happy with how fast the pace was at the beginning. Like you didn't really have to wait so long for character development and all of that. It was he gets wet, they turn into assholes, they pupate and get bigger, and then the kitchen scene happens.
Yeah. Well, and then like the kitchen scene happens and you're like, oh, okay, like they're all basically killed except for like one or two, you know. And it's just like, well, how is this gonna go and everything? And it's like, oh no, Stripe, he's my favorite character in the movie. He's absolutely my favorite. He just fucking treks off through the snow. The snow doesn't matter because it's only water. It has to be in that form. And it has to be consensual water, I guess.
No, it doesn't.
No.
For Gremlins, it does. Not for Mogwai, but for Gremlins.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
But then
Their feet can get wet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Their feet are allowed to get wet.
Yeah, and their face, just not the tip of their finger.
No, you have to touch the water.
Yeah.
But then, he runs to the YMCA and jumps in the pool, and you get like a fucking YMCA swimming pool full of dry ice, just and all sorts of green light.
It was really good.
And then it's just like, oh shit, we get like fucking hundreds of them, and that's the point where the movie goes like just completely bonkers. So
yeah. Well, the other part that was also it wasn't necessary. It added a little bit of comedic, like, what is, like, he works at the bank. We know that he meets the girl there. She also has a second job as a bartender, which was another thing that was weird. And then we have this neighbor that comes in, and she's like, your dog.
Forget her.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm going to kill your dog. And like, all, like, she's like the Scrooge, like over the top Scrooge of this. And I was like, what is the purpose of her other than just to be an antagonist in the storyline? And that's really all she is. And she bites the fucking dust in this movie.
And that's her only role, is so she can get shot out of a window.
I think it's so people can cheer when she gets fucking like yeeted out a window.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like she was unnecessary.
Oh yeah, it's just another one of those things of just filler, because she's basically one part Scrooge and one part like the Wicked Witch
of the West.
Yep.
Yes,
and your little dog too. Like it's just it's very blatant.
Yeah,
and I really liked her character. I liked who she was. I get that she was kind of a throwaway character, but she's one of my favorites because she's so crotchety. Yeah.
Well, she adds to that,
but best.
Yeah. Well, with her, she adds more than the girl does in this whole storyline.
Right. She definitely has more personality.
Yeah. I mean, like, she's a character that you are actually supposed to hate, and they do well with that. Mm-hmm. And then, like, the neighbor guy, there's something about him. I really liked him. He's like this drunk riding around on his fucking tractor, and he has a thing. The only thing I didn't like, it was like, fuck everything that's foreign, only things that are American made. Like, and that's very 80s.
That is very 80s. That's very Reagan era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
but it ties into like what the gremlins are. Like, he's this kind of conspiracy theorist, but he's like, they put gremlins in your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and like,
and then it's like, well,
and it goes from the very beginning, like, because he even talks about like, like gremlin, like, the foreigners, they put stuff in your things. That was the problem during WW2 and all this stuff. And like, that's actually where the folklore comes from, is that previously stated and stuff, like in the folklore and stuff, that the British Air Force and stuff were having some problems and stuff, and they just thought that it was literally something getting into their planes and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. So like that's why Billy's car wouldn't start at the beginning. So you're already set up with this idea of the gremlins kind of being mischievous and wreaking havoc and tearing out wires and making it so stuff doesn't start. And then as the story goes on, you see that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, that's true.
But then
it's like a folklore story. Yeah.
This is definitely just like The Witch. It's one of those folklore stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
this is Steven Spielberg's The Witch.
Yeah, yep. Sure, we'll go with that.
But there's this kind of has a little bit of a who's who of 80s actors. So like, Phoebe Cates, she's like, for some reason, like this hot commodity. You also have Judge Reinhold in this, that he was also in Beverly Hills Cop. So he was in 2 of the top 4 films for this year. So Judge Reinhold is the junior vice president at the bank that's kind of sleazy and stuff like that.
Okay. Yep. I knew he looked familiar.
And then
is he that's the guy that's in the Santa Claus movies, right?
Yeah, same guy.
Yes. He's the stepdad.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And he's Neil in those movies.
Neil.
Yes, that's his name, with the sweaters.
Yes.
And then the little friend that comes over that accidentally spills the water on I'm going to say Mowgli now.
I'm so sorry.
On Gizmo, on Allison. That's Corey Feldman. From
I recognized him.
Yep. Yeah. It was like, that son of a bitch.
I mean, he's really little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I saw that one other is Howie Mandel voices Gizmo.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Bobby's World himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking loved Bobby's World when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Me too, a lot. That was amazing.
Fucking trout on a stick and socks in a can. Uncle Ted.
Yeah. Like I said, this movie was one of those things that you just kind of, you love it for all of its good parts, and then there's a few parts that, like, I did find that the beginning was a little slow, but I really liked the mom in this movie. I don't know if she's my favorite. I would say Gizmo's probably my favorite because he's cute, but I would say that out of the humans, I would say that the mom definitely is, because she goes into that kitchen when these motherfuckers are just going, and she's like, she doesn't even question, she doesn't scream, she doesn't play victim, she just takes fucking charge, and she's like, I'm gonna throw your ass in the blender, I'm gonna throw your ass in the microwave. Like, she's like, I'm gonna end you, and I'm just like, this woman has my heart. I love her.
I would love to know. Okay, so the microwave scene is like pretty gory. Like when he explodes in there, that's like the second time they did it, because the first one was too gory. And I'm like, did the original one blow the fucking door off of it or something?
Right.
Like that.
Or I wonder if like the blood was red.
Oh, maybe.
And they changed the color.
Because
that's
like
true.
the blender scene is super gross. I love it though.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then when she stabs the second one with like the butcher's knife and stuff, I guess there was a special effect that you can tell in the background when the microwave scene's happening, but they cut it because they said it was too graphic, where the gremlin is trying to pull the knife out of itself and everything. So they were just like, nope. Like there's a lot of that stuff that they're like, nope, that's not going to make the money. Like that's too much. It'll scare too many people. We need this to be just violent enough. But like,
I think it succeeds in that for sure.
They did a really good job of like towing that line, which I'm usually not a fan of. But like when you're talking about a film that this is pre PG-13, like this is like there was only PG and R. The movie that basically made PG-13 happen was Poltergeist, which came out a few years later, and that was a Steven Spielberg produced film and all this stuff. But there's like this weird, that's why like, Beetlejuice he says fuck in that movie, because they're not going to give it a rated R, but at the same time it's like, well, it's parental guidance. So he's like, nice fucking model. It's pre PG-13. So like
Little Monsters is like that too. When I watch that and I watch it with the girls, I love that movie, and it's like an older movie that's kind of similar in the same.
Got Howie Mandel in it too.
Yeah, super good movie, and it's a monster movie, and that one has a lot of cuss words in it, and it's really dark themed. And so I always thought that movie was probably rated like way up, but it was PG, and I was like, how is this PG? And then you had explained that to me, and I was like, that makes sense, because this would be PG-13 because of how dark. I mean, and it's crazy. Yeah.
PG-13 is always just viewed as just R light in my book.
Did they have G back then still?
Yeah, they still had G and everything. But yeah, PG-13 is basically because of Steven Spielberg making like things that it's weird because, he just pushed the envelope a lot. Now he's just kind of like viewed as like a safe director. Like he did E.T. and stuff like that, right? Because E.T. predates this, but he's also the one that did Jaws, and Jaws fucking ruined people's summers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also
some of the like Indiana Jones movies are could be pretty scary.
And I don't know, like,
were those,
considering Temple of Doom came out this year, it would have been PG. There's no way that would have been our movie,
Gotcha.
But yeah, but
I wonder about like the other one with the melting of the people when they open up.
I think that's the first one. What's the good Lord? It's been so long since I'm not an Indiana.
The Ark.
Yeah, it's got the Ark of the Covenant in it, but I can't remember the name of it. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's it.
Yep. That would have been.
Oh, I didn't realize that one. I couldn't remember that one came out first. All right.
Yeah, I believe that's the original one, and then Temple of Doom's second one.
Gotcha.
But anyway, if you really look at a lot of the movies that he's tied to and stuff, like Poltergeist, he produced. Tobe Hooper, who directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed that. And that's that's like the first PG-13 film, I think, or it's the reason that PG-13 exists. But then he did Saving Private Ryan, which I don't think that's rated R. I think that's PG-13.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not. It's rated R.
Is it rated R?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I saw it in the theater and it was rated R then. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, that movie is very, very violent.
Yeah, so, but I'm surprised that it's rated R, to be completely honest, because it's Steven Spielberg. But like he did like Jurassic Park, which is PG-13.
Yeah, I think I'll look it up. I know it's rated R. I'm just curious to see how many rated R movies he actually has.
I can't imagine too many. Yeah, it is rated R. That's surprising. But
does Steven Spielberg have?
Uh-oh. Now we're going down a rabbit hole of Steven Spielberg.
I know. Well, he made this, so okay.
Well, he produced it. He didn't direct it and stuff.
Well, he's still part of it. So meanwhile, he continues making films mostly PG or PG-13 until he got into dark realities of historical films. So like when he got into historical films, because he made Schindler's List.
Yeah, he did Schindler's List.
Oh yeah,
and that is an incredible movie. And yes, that's rated R, and it should be. And then Saving Private Ryan again. That movie, when I watched it the first time, I bawled like a baby because that was
because they didn't kill Matt Damon. Yeah, I felt the same way.
That opening scene on like the beaches of Normandy was like, whoa, that was intense. And then I think I'm gonna rewatch that movie today because that movie is so good.
I think Steven Spielberg also was like the executive producer and stuff for Band of Brothers.
Okay.
Which that TV series is fucking phenomenal.
He also did Amistad.
Yeah.
Which was good. And then he did Munich.
Oh, okay. I never saw Munich.
I haven't either. So that's he's definitely more in obviously the lower rating stuff.
He's also the creator of Animaniacs. So
that was great too.
Animaniacs.
Yeah. But, see, his number one like sorted list order is Jurassic Park, obviously. Like that's what he's most known for. And then he did Ready Player One, it says.
He directed it or he produced it?
It just says Spielberg movies from best to worst, and then it says movies directed by Spielberg from best to worst. So it's his movies.
I didn't know he directed that.
He also did Hook, which is
I knew about that.
Yeah, incredible movie. I love that. E.T., Another Jurassic World, The Indiana Jones, War of Worlds.
Oh, War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. With T. Crizzle.
Yeah. The Adventures of Tintin.
Never watched it.
The BFG, which my kids absolutely loved when they were little.
Big fucking gun.
Yep.
Oh wait,
the big friendly giant. Yeah.
This isn't the Doom. In the Doom, in the video game Doom, BFG was Big Fucking Gun.
He also did Minority Report, which I didn't know that.
Minority Report's dope because it's basically like kind of a retelling of 1984, but with again T. Crizzle.
Yeah, and then he did Catch Me If You Can.
Yep, with Leo.
That's a good one. I like that movie.
Yep, and he did Schindler's List, obviously. The Color Purple.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good. I mean, I really like his movies, so like, there's very few of them I don't like.
It always pissed my mom off because mom really likes The Color Purple and stuff, and me just being the antagonist asshole that I am, I'm like, yeah, Color Purple's good because it's the one movie you get to see Oprah Winfrey get her ass beat.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
It is terrible, but like just to get the shock out of mom's face.
Oh my god, this goes in line with like women deserve to be in the kitchen thing that you
said
say.
It. You said that. I didn't used to say that.
You do say that.
When do I say that?
All the time.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I do know that I say women have a place in this world, and it's the kitchen, barefoot, and pregnant.
There you go. Yep. You're terrible.
I don't believe any of that stuff.
He doesn't.
I literally just embody like the old guard in our family, like old guard, and that's what drives my mom nuts. Is because I'll just kind of embody that stuff and be like, yeah, well, you know, like blah blah blah. And she's like, I will fucking kill you.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and the new Color Purple out, you could take her and make up for it. It's coming out this year, so they got a new one coming out.
I'll have to wheel her out of the ditch then, and I don't know if I'm going to do that. But no.
Okay, back to our movie.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and look up what other films did Joe Dante do? Because the only ones I'm actually familiar with are the Gremlins films, and I know that he's like pretty long.
I actually looked that up last night because his name sounds so familiar.
Because of Dante's Peak. Which is a film about a mountain that Joe Dante lives on, and Pierce Brosnan has to fight his way through the city to get to Dante's Peak.
Yeah, I remember really liking that movie when I was a kid. He did Small Soldiers.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I did read something that like a lot of his movies deal with like small things.
Small thing.
He's done a lot. Like, it looks like he's really big in like horror-esque stuff. Like, some things fantasy, but most of it's pretty much from what I'm looking at. Like, it's a lot of like he
also did
The Burbs.
Piranha.
Oh, he did The Burbs.
Yeah,
I fucking love The Burbs with Tom Hanks.
Yep.
Oh god, that movie's fucking hilarious. All right. Did you say Piranha?
Yep.
He did the original Piranha? Well, that makes sense. Okay.
He also,
the 1978 version.
Yeah.
He also did Twilight Zone, the movie.
Oh, he would have directed one part of that because that was an anthology where a lot of, I think Steven Spielberg had, I think he produced that as well. But there was actually a death of 3 people during that movie.
Oh, wow.
It's extremely sad. I'm not going to go into it here, but they broke a lot of laws to do a certain scene in that movie, and because of a lot of stuff, an adult and 2 children actors were killed.
Oh man,
so
that's terrible.
If you look into it, they did like on the cursed films on Shudder.
Oh, okay.
They covered it, and it's super sad. But
he also did the TV. There's a TV series called Gremlins, and it's a cartoon.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I mean, he probably didn't direct it. It's probably just like based on characters by.
He's a consulting producer.
Yeah.
But so yeah, he's done quite a few things. Like, not anything really big other than these movies, really. But
this is these are his swan song. This and Small Soldiers, because that movie was fucking dope. I remember
he did 2 episodes of Masters of Horror.
Oh, okay, so he did 2 short films. Then that was a TV series, quote unquote TV series that HBO financed, so they would get a hold of quote unquote Masters of Horror directors, and they would do short films. So like John Carpenter did some. Fucking Takashi Miike did one that was actually too hot for TV, and they never released it. And then I bought the DVD of it. It's called Imprint, and it is horrific. It's amazing. But yeah, I didn't know that Joe Dante did some for that. I don't own the box set. I only own a couple of the discs, but
he did episodes for Salem, MacGyver, The Legends of Tomorrow.
He did MacGyver.
He did the new MacGyver.
Oh, not original.
He did a episode for that. That's what his director.
Don't you
is.
Hey, aren't you the grammar Nazi? It's an episode.
And what?
It's an episode. Yeah. You said a episode. I'm just.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't.
I'm gonna get so many emails from our fucking 10 listeners. Oh my god, this is your fault. But yeah, there have been talks recently about a third one that Joe Dante would be directing and stuff. And what's his nuts? Zach Galligan has said like that there's works, like it's in the works, but. I think the last we'd heard about it was 2019 when they got re-released in the theaters. I don't foresee them ever doing another one because how expensive I think it would be to do one now. Because the big thing with it is Joe Dante has said that if another one were to be made, it's not going to be CG. It's going to be, like he's one of those real heads where it's just like, nah, we're doing this all like in camera. It's all there.
Okay.
But... So, you guys had mentioned about wanting to do favorite character and least favorite character in this. I know we've kind of touched on it through it, but Tasha, who's your favorite character in the movie and who's your least favorite character in the movie?
I mean, aside from Gizmo, because Gizmo is my all-time favorite character in this movie, I would have to pick the old crotchety lady that comes in with the Santa head. I can't remember her name.
With the snowman head?
It starts with
the snowman head. Yeah,
it starts with a D. It's like Diesel. Her name's Diesel. It's Big Sexy from the NWO. It's Big Diesel.
Big Diesel.
No, it's not. I'm pretty sure I think it's Big Diesel. It's Mrs. Big
Deagle.
Diesel. Yeah, see?
It's Mrs. Deagle. Like Beagle with a D.
Like Diesel, like the truck.
Anyway, she's Polly Holliday's character.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, her name is Polly Holiday. Okay.
I really liked her.
Who's your least favorite?
My least favorite is Kate's character. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, Phoebe Cates' character in this is fucking dog shit. Like, it's so bad.
so bad. Like, and then the whole sad thing of like, my father was trying to climb down our chimney and then it started to smell or whatever, and the cops came and he was stuck in the chimney and he died there. And I was like, why would you put this in a movie that kids are going to watch?
It doesn't even fit like at all. It's such a gear shift because like everything's going on and then it's just like, do you want to know why I hate Christmas? It's like, not really. Like, no,
I don't.
There's a lot more like problems going on. We've got Gremlins over here fucking singing to fucking Snow White and the Seven Dwarves over here. Like, we got some problems.
Yeah.
But what do you got, Steph? Who's your favorite? And I think it's unanimous. We all hate fucking Phoebe Cates in this movie.
Yeah, she's horrible. Her acting's not good, and her entire character is pointless. Realistically, I think most of the humans are kind of pointless in this movie. I think that other than just being background necessities, I don't think we needed to have any relationship with most of them because the relationship really is the creatures in this film. So
that's kind of my reasoning for not watching any of the American Godzilla films. Is at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about Bryan Cranston being in it and stuff like that. It's like I want less people, more monsters smashing shit. Like, that's why I really like Pacific Rim, because like, yeah, you got some people things going on, but it was literally just massive robot versus monster fight scene. Go, go, go. So
I feel like the new Godzillas, though, aren't that bad. I think that they definitely hit on more monster-esque parts than they do human relationships. Other than the Kong one was really good, but they're building a relationship with him in that, so he becomes your hero. But anyway, yeah. So I definitely think that the girl was the weakest link here, and she was unnecessary. And then my favorite character, other than the Mr. Cutesy himself, I really liked the mom. I wouldn't say she's my favorite character, but I really liked her because she's holding down the house, even though dad's out here fucking shit up and not really bringing a whole lot in. And she's working, to keep their home and her family together. And she, it must be just because I'm a mom or something, because it seems like that's the going trend for me. Like, we watched, what was the one that we watched that Tasha picked? The one with the mirror. Oculus. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
The
and
mom,
you really like the mom.
I like the mom in that. And then this one the same way, like, she's a badass. And because I wanted to like the main male character in this, and he's just kind of meh. I would say I love the Gremlins, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. And I agree with Nick in the sense, like, what's his name?
Stripe.
Okay. I like his character. He's just very naughty, but I don't like his ending in this movie, and like how he puts up a good fight is very good. Like, I loved that part of him, and he was just like this very devious. You almost kind of cheer for him in a weird way.
Oh, I wanted him to kill Billy with that chainsaw so hard.
Oh yeah, like, it was cute. But then you got Gizmo driving through the store in a little Barbie car, and that was adorable. So like you definitely get like all those plays really well, but I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite unless you say Gizmo's the favorite. But as a human, I like the mom, and I like the neighbors just because they were the man was just so outlandish. And then and one of my favorite scenes in the movie is literally when they're driving his tractor through his house, and his wife and him are like, oh shit, and I was like, that's great. And then the bar scene obviously was just epic in itself. Like, we have a girl gremlin wearing lipstick, like, come on now. And then they're just we're just wreaking havoc, and they're very enjoyable to watch that. So
like in a wig.
Yeah.
Besides Stripe, my favorite character is the gremlin that flashes Phoebe Cates.
As if they're not all naked already.
Yeah, I love that he's got like the sunglasses on. He's just like,
yeah.
And that's the cool part. I never realized this movie was a horror movie because I had forgotten all of the, like we talked about earlier, I'd forgotten about all of the kind of gory scenes. But even watching it now, nothing seems scary about it. And the only part that seems really like horror, if you will, the only part where like the gremlins aren't just like full of debauchery and mischievousness is when like Stripe is going for him at the very end with the chainsaw. Other than that, all of their shenanigans are just shenanigans.
I think the two scenes that you get like legit horror is Mom versus Gremlins. So so the kitchen to the living room with the tree, all of that I feel is like very horror like
I agree.
and then the convenient or the general store or whatever. And the scene with the chainsaw and everything was actually not in the script. That was Zach Galligan and Joe Dante basically wanted to like do a little homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so that's what they came up with.
Okay. It works. It works. I think the other horror part of this is the pool scene. I do think that gives like that very like ominous feeling where it's bubbling and all these lights are going, and I feel like that gives you that like peak of like, oh shit moment. So I feel like that hits horror a lot more than even some of the other scenes do, even though you don't see anything. Like
I think the big thing that like kind of ratchets it back from being like intense, like when it could be and stuff, is how it's scored. The Gremlins theme itself is like real like kind of feeling, and then Gizmo's is like this like very like somber and stuff like that. And those are like the two big songs in the movie that like, you know, once the Gremlin theme hits, you know, that I think the first time you hear it is when they're pulling the tractor through the garage and like everything, and it just like and it kind of has this what's his fucking name? The dude that does all the music for Tim Burton and everything. It's got that. It's got that kind of feel to it.
The Danny Elfman thing.
Yeah, Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
it's got that like boom, 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 boom kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And I think that right there, I imagine that was probably like Steven Spielberg being like, we just need to whimsy this up a little bit, but because like if you took that away and the whole scene where they're driving the tractor through the house and stuff, and it was just like dun 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 dun, it would probably be scary. I don't know, but like the music definitely just adds a little bit of like levity to it.
Yeah, it's just like highlighting their mischievousness more than anything. Like I for me personally, when I look at this, I don't look at these guys being out there looking to necessarily harm people intentionally.
Hold on.
But
they fucking shoot a gun at Phoebe Cates at point blank range. Take a chance.
Which is so funny. The fact that he is this, just like, how did he get the gun?
And look at the gun size.
It's adorable.
Yes.
Oh, and he's like aiming her down too. It's not like wildly shot. He's aiming her down.
Like,
these motherfuckers are trying to ice these people.
Yeah, but I don't look at it like they're not out actually looking for these people to murder them. I think she's there and they're drunk and they're acting a fool, and then she just happens to be a bystander. I also don't like her, so I don't give a shit. But like,
are you victim blaming right now?
No, it's a movie.
You see where she was working? She deserved getting shot at.
I never said that. So, but yeah, I feel like they were just hanging out, having a good old time. They went to the movies. They were hanging out, having a good old time. They were, they come across stuff and they're causing, like, they're the hoodlums, I guess, in a sense.
I love it when.
So do you not think that Stripe meant to shoot Billy with the tiny crossbow?
After multiple shots, he gets it.
I think he does, but only because he's coming after him. So I think if you left him alone and let him wreak his havoc and destroy the store, then he would have just been fine and he would have just went on his merry way.
I see what you're saying. They're not out for murder. They're just out to cause problems, and murder just tends to happen.
And the people get in the way.
Yes. It's like, I want to go destroy this candy store and shove my face full of candy, and I want to act like a fool, and I want to, have fun. And they're just out here having a good time. And there just happens to be bystanders that are getting hurt in the process.
Are you saying that the Gremlins are basically just frat guys?
Kind of. I mean, in their own way. I mean, they kind of are. They're like, we're going to drink and we're going to smoke and we're going to party. And then if you fuck with us, we're going to,
I'm going to show
wreak more havoc.
I'm going to show Phoebe Cates my genitals.
Yeah.
With my tiny trench coat.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that, and then it's kind of like a sad thing at the end because, he goes and creates more things and they break the light through, and so he dies. And that is also the horror part of this movie too. So like the way he dies at our final gremlin, it is so good. Yeah, it's really well made, and it gives you like kind of the whole you do all the bad things, the 3 rules are broken, and then it kind of brings you back to the final one. If you let him in light, this is what's going to happen, and it kind of just finishes out all the rules that were broken, and now we're back to square one again, and now all the bad guys are gone, and we're hopefully not going to let Mr. Gizmo get water on him again.
well, what's kind of interesting in that scene where Gizmo opens the blinds, That was supposed to be, there was Gizmo doing it and Billy was doing it. Like there's two blinds that get open. Spielberg stepped in and was just like, no, Gizmo's the hero of this. We're not going to show that Billy does it. And then Zach Galligan was like kind of pissed about it. He's like, but like I helped save the day.
No.
And
but no one cares about you, Billy.
Oh, I know. He said it to Joe Dante. He's like kind of pissed about it. He's like, but like when he saw the final cut, like in theaters, he's like, but I was the hero. And Joe Dante's basically like, well, I can let you guess whose decision that was because it wasn't mine. And Zach Galligan's answer was like, I'm not going to guess because I'd like to work for him again.
I think it's weird. It's like you're going to be part of a creature feature and then expect that you're going to be the star. No, that's not the point of this. The creatures are the stars.
Right.
Especially like when everybody walked on stage and saw Gizmo, they were probably all like, I'm second fiddle.
Yeah, and you should feel that way. This reminds me of the show Cheese and something that's with Joey and friends. So like he goes on this thing and he's supposed to be a detective with this robot.
Oh, you're talking about his show on the show Friends.
Yeah, his show on Friends that he's in. Yes. And so he gets mad because he's not like he's like, well, if I don't get to do this, then I'm going to quit. And they're like, we don't care. You're not the main star. The robot is the star. And so it's kind of the same concept here. It's like, no, dude, no.
Nobody watches a Muppets film to see the human actor to act counter of it.
A Christmas Carol, though.
Nobody watches that specifically for Michael Caine.
I love Michael. I don't know. Like, he's one of my favorite characters in that.
There are two people in the Muppets universe, three, and I can't remember his name exactly, but two of them. You've got Tim Curry in Muppet Treasure Island, and you've got Michael Caine in Muppet Christmas Carol. Now, what's interesting is I saw something that makes it like proves that they're the two best people that have ever done it with the Muppets, and it's because Michael Caine treats the Muppets like they are like actors, like he doesn't look at them as puppets, and that's why it works. And then Tim Curry in Muppet Treasure Island pretends that he himself is a Muppet.
And that fits.
But then was it Jason Segel in the newest one? Like he does a pretty decent job in it. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Well, no. And there's a few movies that are Muppet based movies, like my favorite movie of all time, basically.
We
that
get it.
Really
the Labyrinth.
Well.
We get it.
I do. I just love that movie so much. But that one works really well because it plays off of each other. And like the humans in that you root for. So like that's different. But yeah, you don't usually like that one is equal in my opinion.
If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I root for David Bowie's codpiece in that movie.
I just love him so much.
So yeah. We have gone completely off the rails now. So I guess it's a good time to kind of get our final thoughts and ratings. So Steph, what do you go and give Gremlins from 1984?
I wanted if the
internal struggle is real.
Yeah.
It really is because the breakage of rules in this movie bothers me on like just a writing point. Now, I understand it's not the point of this movie. It's supposed to be for entertainment. It's a Christmas movie. It's just for fun. It's literally all you're looking for when you're watching this. This is almost like a popcorn movie is what we would go by. And it's not for depth or anything along those lines. Now, we have watched movies that are. Yeah, it's good and I really like it in that aspect, but because I find the majority of the humans in this just absolutely pointless, that's where my stars like definitely just kept dropping and dropping and dropping because we get too much time with them and I don't care about them. I just want to see more of the creatures. So I'm gonna go with 5.5 stars for this because had the humans had less time and we got more time really with Gizmo himself, I probably would have rated it a lot higher, but there's too many humans. So 5.5 is my rating.
Tasha, what do you got?
I really, really, really liked this movie and I plan on now watching it probably seasonally as a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Nice.
It did everything that Steph said and I don't care.
Yeah.
It made me happy. I laughed a lot. Full disclosure, I did fall asleep for
oh my God. Jesus Christ!
But I fell asleep during a people part. So
Okay, that's fair.
It was
So,
probably
I finished it this morning.
Zach and Phoebe's like dialogue between each other. I get it.
Snorefest, yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was when they were gearing up to set the theater on fire. Like I remember, I remember all the gremlins like having a great time, and then that was the last of it.
Then I woke up to an explosion.
I woke up to the credits like song.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I finished it this morning. It's all good. But for despite all of the reasons, it doesn't follow logic. But I don't care. The characters were fine, but I loved I love the bar scene. I love the movie scene. I loved all the everything that they did was just funny. I'm giving it an 8.5.
Whoa!
Holy shit! Okay.
Have you given a movie that high of a score?
I maybe once.
Maybe
Scream might have gotten 8.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ!
But this is one that I want to watch the second one soon. I will watch this probably again this season.
Okay.
I can't remember if the second one's like Christmassy themed or not, but I do know that you get Gizmo basically being Rambo. He has like the little bandana,
I remember
and he's
seeing
got
a
the
picture
bow
of
and
that.
arrow and shit like that. But,
Yeah.
So the second one must be the one with a leather jacket and sunglasses gremlin, because that didn't happen in this one, and I have that visual in my head.
And also you get like the electric gremlin that's like all electricity and stuff. Like it definitely was just like it's crazy. Like when you see the girl gremlin in this one, it has nothing compared to the girl gremlin you get in the second one, which is like basically like a tarted up like drag queen kind of look, like super blown out makeup and stuff.
Very cool.
Because I forgot there was a female gremlin in this one because all I remember is the second one.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to split the difference, I guess. So the problems that this movie has and stuff, I don't care so much about the rule breaking and everything. I do, however, really have a problem with the casting in this movie and the filler aspects. No matter how fun the dad is with the invention stuff, it's pointless. This movie's like an hour and 40 minutes. You could have trimmed it down to like an hour and a half.
Right.
Just give us the creatures and you can cut everything else out.
Phoebe Cates,
all together.
Just in general.
Yeah.
She literally gives nothing in this film. Billy could have been running around with Barney the dog the whole time and just been talking to Barney the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and the dog was great.
So
in this
cute.
movie.
He gets wrapped up in those lights and stuff. Goddamn gremlins. But I'm not going to go like super like the reason for the season for this film are the gremlins and Gizmo. Beyond that, everything else is really lackluster. It's been a bit since I've seen the second one, so I'm gonna have to watch that one to see like if they do what I want. That being said, though, I'm going to give it a 6.5. Okay. I'm totally going to watch this again. Just kind of like how Tasha said, like it definitely is like, hey, I need to fill out my Christmas movie list. Fuck it, I'm gonna throw this on. Like I watch like really random films for Christmas anyway. Like my go-tos are Muppet Christmas Carol, Scrooged with Bill Murray, and Die Hard. And now I'll throw Gremlins in the mix, and I've already watched it, so I'm good there. So yeah. So what does that give us, Tasha?
That gives us a 68.
Hey, it's a pass. It's a pass. You will more than likely enjoy this film.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like you just got to go into it not expect. I mean, I don't know who's going into Gremlins expecting some sort of like
masterpiece.
Some self-reflective. Like it's not fucking like it's not Schindler's List. It's not like it's not like this fucking award-winning thing. I mean, like it won some awards and stuff, but
it's not that deep. Yeah, basically.
You're not in it for you're not in it for the script.
No,
correct.
And you're never going to think about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs the same ever again.
Oh, I'm going to think about it the same way every time. And even to the point. Oh, okay. So Gizmo says 2 lines in this movie, and they hit me right in the heart because it's right at the end when I'm sorry, I forget his name, but the Chinese guy that he gets the The
I don't know if
gets
they ever say
Gizmo
his
from.
name.
It's
I don't think they
something.
do
It's like
either.
Mr. Foo or something.
They call him Grandpa.
Yeah.
Is what he's the grandpa in this.
But when he's leaving and taking him, he says 2 lines. He says, "Bye bye, Billy," and I'm like, "Oh, my heart!"
Yeah.
But then as they're leaving, he goes, "Bye bye, woof woof," and he says it to Barney, and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I missed that part. His name is Mr. Wing.
Mr. Wing. I was gonna say, I know it's definitely one of those Hollywood Chinese character names where it's just like, well, we got Fu, we got Ting, we got Wing. Like they don't put any.
Yeah.
But
especially in the 80s.
But Gizmo also says other things. Are you just saying like those are his 2 phrases?
Those are his 2, like he says other little bits, but those are like his like sentences.
Yeah,
I always remember.
He always says about bright light.
Yeah,
bright
I always remember that one. Bright light, bright light. He's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we're at the end of the episode now, so it is motherfucking movie club.
Uh-oh.
And this time, I actually off mic asked the ladies. I gave them some things to pull from. I didn't tell them the movies. I was like, "Do you want this style, this style, this style?" And what, unbeknownst to them, what they have picked is Guillermo del Toro's film Crimson Peak.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, we saw that. That movie is, yep.
Never heard of it.
Woo, it's on Netflix.
Yep,
it should be.
Yep. It's a
got Tom Hiddleston in
it's
it.
got
Ooh,
Tom
I like
Hiddleston.
him.
It's got the girl from
Alice in Wonderland.
Jessica Chastain. Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. So
It is one of the most beautiful films I've seen. Let's just say.
So kind of keeping
All right.
into our Christmas mode. It's a snowy film.
Yeah, and the colors in that movie definitely fit for this season. So
if you haven't seen Crimson Peak or you're not aware of Guillermo del Toro, the way I always describe Guillermo del Toro, and this is not a disparaging comment, is I always refer to him as Tim Burton for adults, because he has a very singular vision of stuff, and it's very dark but beautiful. And Tim Burton does that same thing of like very stark, beautiful, yet dark, just off. But
he definitely has a style like Spielberg. You can kind of tell that it's a Spielberg movie. It'll be cool to see another like prolific movie.
Guillermo del Toro is one of those directors that if his name is attached to it, I'm instantly interested. He's only burnt me one time, and that's on the film that he won Movie of the Year for. So I'm obviously wrong, and that was The Shape of Water.
Oh yeah, I never.
But beyond
Did you ever see the new Pinocchio? Have you watched that?
I haven't watched the new Pinocchio. I heard it was good though. I heard his Pinocchio is good. He did Pacific Rim. He did Pan's Labyrinth, which is fucking amazing. He's done a lot of stuff, and it's always kind of dark.
I'm looking it up. I know I've seen stuff of his. I just can't remember all the stuff. So I'm curious what I'm looking on IMDb just so I can get a rough frame of reference. Oh, he did Hellboys.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those movies. Those movies are amazing.
He did Species.
Those are good. He won Oscars. He's had 127 wins and 192 nominations.
Guillermo del Toro is the man. Like I fucking love him. And it's like when I say like he burnt me the one time, I had already watched a lot of his movies, and then Shape of Water comes out. I'm like, this is gonna be fucking great. And I watched it and I was like, that's not what I wanted. It's a good movie. It's just not what I wanted. It
says he did the Hobbit movies.
No, he might have like consulted on them. He didn't direct those, did he?
No, I don't know. It says he's in. That's some of his movies. I'm gonna see because I was
Peter
like,
Jackson. Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Which Peter Jackson's got a horror film, a couple of them that we can watch.
Well, we watched the Cabinet of Curiosities. Yeah, we watched some of those. Those were really good.
Nightmare Alley is really good if you haven't seen that.
Yeah, we haven't seen that. I haven't seen it.
It's very good.
It's got the dude from
Has Bradley Cooper in it?
Yeah, Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I've wanted to. It's on my list. It's like a crime noir kind of.
Yeah, it's like in like vaudevillian times. It's really good.
Yeah.
He did do the Hobbits, all 3 of them.
He directed them?
No, he's a screenplay.
Oh, okay.
He wrote them.
Okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't expect them. Because I was like, no way, because I don't like the Hobbit movies. I like the first one. That's it.
He screenplayed the Pacific Rim.
He directed Pacific Rim as well.
Oh, he also did that.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, this must just be his filmography in terms of everything.
Yeah.
He did Mimic.
Yeah, he did all the Mimic films, I think.
Rise of the Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly the Box Trolls or the Book of Life. I think he
Book of
also
Life.
did that.
Oh my God, Book of Life is legit like one of the best CG movies, like CG animated films, period. And
We should just do an episode of our love for Guillermo del Toro.
Oh no, it's so good. I love him so much.
Oh, he did Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that. That's a great Christmas movie to watch.
I really
love
like that one. Yep.
Oh, and Santa Claus in that movie is hot. So yes.
So we got hot.
Just got a thing for Santa.
Oh yeah.
In that movie, yeah, oh my God, he has tattoos and everything. Oh my God, I love him. So yeah, he's done a shit ton of stuff, like, and even stuff that's like, because obviously he does Spanish.
Well,
stuff
yeah, he's
too,
from
so,
Mexico.
Like, he's got a ton of that too, on his, like, I'm just looking and it's like
Guillermo
tons
del
of it.
Toro is literally one of those guys that I just want to have a beer with and give him a big hug because he's such a fucking sweetheart. He's such a nice guy. Like every time I watch an interview with him, I fucking love him more and more every time.
He just seems like a big kid at heart.
Yeah.
And then creates these beautifully created worlds.
Beautiful does not explain, like when you watch Crimson Peak, Tasha, you're going to see a shot of the interior of this house the first time you see it. And,
oh my
and
God.
You're going to be like, oh my God.
Are they big, beautiful houses? I'm excited to watch this. This is one of the first ones that I've been really genuinely excited to watch.
I would be surprised.
So
I would be surprised. So how I look at it is,
I don't want to know anything about
it.
No.
Okay. I'm not giving any of that away.
Gotcha.
Above 50% is you're going to more than likely like this movie. And then once we get over 75% of our total scores, I look at it as a Hall of Fame for our group. I expect this movie to be a Hall of Fame for our group.
Okay. It will be for me already because I love that movie.
I already know. I've seen it multiple times, so I already kind of know where I'm sitting at.
Cool. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it again because I've only seen it once, and yeah, it's definitely completely different. But yeah, I was looking at some of his filmography or his producing stuff, and he's got some interesting things on his list. So yeah, I'm gonna go watch Rise of the Guardians, I think.
All right.
I just love that movie. So
for next week, we're watching Crimson Peak for next week. With that being said, for Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Natasha.
And come back and listen to us, or else.